Welcome back to What Are Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the T-100 LT. It's the Tier 10 Soviet light tank. It's located on the northwest spawn of Empire's border, and this one's under the command of Jamie2006, and he normally sends some very good replays, and I have this no doubt that this one will be rather good. Okay, it's got the best camo in the game actually, the T-100 LT. When it came out into the game, I think a lot of people were shocked at how much it could move and not get spotted. Of course, it is a light tank, and light tanks don't tend to get spotted very easily. It's got a 100mm gun, 300 alpha, 230mm of M with standard APCR, and unusually the premium round is actually an AP one, not an APCR, and it's got 248mm. Well, he's managed to make it to the gates that go between the two different zones, and he's sitting in the bush, so nobody has seen him yet, and hopefully he'll get sight of the enemy, be able to hit them. Puts one into the FV215B. What has he spotted? No, he wasn't, and he is spotting them and highlighting the target. Hit the tracks on that one. The FV215B can't see him, but that means there might be another tank over there that possibly could see him. And yes, he's got bushes in his favour now, so he can keep firing rounds into that FV215B heavy tank. He's slowly tearing that guy apart. Two more shots and he might actually be able to take that guy out. Ah, he has been spotted this time. And yeah, it was an AMX-13-105 that fired back at him with a 105mm round, and he was in the bushes. Ooh, he took a big hit. Not just the hit, which is a low roll, but he actually took some spotting as well from somebody else that hit him. That round hit him as well. 282, another low roll, but the kill shot came in from the Ratchat 25 ton. He's on the move again. Top speed 72 kilometers an hour. It literally rockets around the battlefield, and it's a very, very flat tank indeed. Very flat. It has 180mm on the front of the turret and 90mm on the front of the hull. It's designed to stop 90mm rounds, because most of the tanks that NATO had at the time were firing 90mm rounds or 105mm rounds. This tank was jointly developed in the 1960s to be fast, nimble and stealthy. But this tank has a very poor gun, which means it's not a sniper. You see there, he took around in the tracks. Yeah, dispersion is not well, dispersion's actually quite good on the move, and it has a well-angled frontal armor. You can see there he managed to block that shot from the M48 pattern. The reload is kind of long. Standard reload 7.64 seconds. That's quite long for a 100mm gun. It's the sort of reload you'd expect actually for a 122 when you get to tier 10 or thereabouts. Okay, that cranbarn's being a bit of a problem. Yeah, he's coming up against a serious problem with both the 279 and the cranbarn. It might be easier for him to go around these guys and come up the other side, but he's decided he wants to engage these ones. Yeah, it doesn't have great accuracy, this tank. It's fairly poor accuracy overall, and it has a very small mass, so you can't really ram in it. It's only 18 tons, so if it comes up against something like a cranbarn or an Object 279E and they try to ram it, it will always come off worse, because it just hasn't got the mass to defend itself against a ramming tank. It also has a fairly limited view range. I was saying actually, you know, limited view range. It's not that great because it's 390 meters, which is the same view range as a Fifi, a Leffy, but it is actually quite small for a light tank. Ow, that hurt. That's another enemy T-100 LT, and that's why he didn't spot it. Even when he fired, he managed to get around in. And we're now down to just 1/3 of our hit points left. Yeah, we're below 1/3, 26%. Okay, so he's going around the other side to try and get at these guys from a different angle. Our Heshbon is still there, and our TVP T5051 and our Bosch B. So if he can get around the other side, he might catch them in the crossfire and be able to do some nice damage. Seems most of the enemy actually went round the southern route, and they're still there. And there's nobody in sight now. We've just killed that last one, but there are some enemies. In fact, there are Artys around this side as well. And ooh, Progetto managed to get a hit. Now we're down to just 82 hit points left. He can't really afford to take another round, because if he does, he's going to be out the game. So he's going to have to be inventive. Yeah, puts one in. Oh, and he gets the kill. The Progetto is no more. He only had 1 hit point left, but he got the kill. So that's a bit of revenge actually on him. But now he's got to try and cope for the rest of the battle with just 1 hit point, and that makes him an easy kill for the enemy Arty if they see him. Jaegeru goes for the turret, and again you see the accuracy lets the tank down. He tried to get an accurate shot, he couldn't get it. But he does get through the side of the vehicle using the premium AP, and he will be able to get the kill shot if this one goes in, and it does. Now there's only 5 enemies left. One of them's the Object 140, who's just around the corner, and he'll probably fire at the back chat. Oh, he got rammed out of the way by the FV215B on our own team, and the back chat goes down to their Death Star. There's one of their Artys. Hello, Mr. GW, and he's out the game. So that's his 5th kill. He could get a top gun if he can get 1 more kill. It's the only enemy left. It's the Death Star. Question is how many hit points he got. Oh, he's got more than enough, and he's seen us, so he knows we're here. Yeah. Well, on the fringe benefit is that he's now got a long reload, and he's got to face against 2 of our teammates, and that's the end of the game. So good try, almost got a top gun, but I'm afraid it was a loss for him. No, not a loss, a win. Well, I was quite wrong to say that it was a loss, because of course they won the team, but of course he got wiped out at the end, mainly because the Death Star saw him and thought, oh, that's an easy kill, that's a light tank, I can easily pen a light tank, forgetting that there was some pretty heavy tanks out there, and of course he would get much more hit points of taking one of them out than he would taking out Jamie. So yeah, disappointing for Jamie that he gets wiped out before the end of the game, but at least he saved his teammates from actually getting hit in return. Let's have a look at the team score, and he got 1 first-class tanker out of them. What am I saying this thing? He got a first-class tanker out of that game, as well as a spotter for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage, a fighter for getting at least 4 kills. He actually ended up with 5, which is 1/3 of the enemy team, and 1 short of getting that top gun. He got a 5 for effect for doing more damage than the hit points for his own vehicle, and he got a bruiser medal as well for getting at least 5 critical hits. In fact, he ended up with 6. And on top of that, he got a tank sniper as well for doing the most damage at a distance of 300 meters or more. And that's pretty incredible if you consider that this thing has actually got very, very poor aiming, as you saw. And a win 8 was 8,269, which is very good, actually. It's Super Unicum standard and quite a bit more. I think actually most of the damage he did at long range was on the FV215B on the enemy team. And yes, that's where he earned it, because he was just pumping round after round into him until, of course, the AMX-13105 decided to interrupt him. When it came to team score, we can see that the highest damage in the game actually went to the Object 260 on his team, who managed 5,468. Second highest damage in the game went to Jamie2006 with 4,234, and he was the only player in the game to actually get a medal out of that one. And the third highest damage was the Progetto 65 of the enemy team. He got 3,769, but Jamie took him down for his last hit point. When it came to kills, Jamie got the top spot on that one with 5 kills. 3 kills went to the FV215B 183, the Death Star on the enemy team, the one who killed him. And 2 kills went to the Object 260, the AMX-13105 of the Backchat 25 on his own team, and on the enemy team, only the Progetto and Cranvar managed to get 2 kills. The rest either got 1 kill or nothing. When it came to base XP, yep, he got that one as well, so he's got 2 out of 3 on that one. He managed to get 1,198 base, 1,035 went to the Object 260 with the highest damage, and the next highest after that was the Foch B, who managed 990. So only 2 players managed to get over 1,000. He was one of them. He got the top spot on 2 of the columns, but he didn't get the 3rd one because the Object 260 was better on that occasion. Let's have a look at detail. He fired 22 rounds in the game, but he got 19 direct hits and 17 penetrations. So Jamie must be particularly good with the T-100 LT because the gun isn't that great. As I said, it's quite a bit of dispersion actually. It's less dispersion on the move than you'd normally get with other tanks, but it does have very poor accuracy when it's stationary. 4,234 hit points of damage, of which 1,691 were at more than 300 meters. So not quite as much damage at long range as he did at short range. He received 7 hits from the enemy, and unfortunately with his poor armor, that just let the shells through. 5 of them were pens, 2 were non-pens. 390 hit points of damage blocked by armor. 1 enemy vehicle spotted, 8 enemy vehicles damaged, 5 killed, and 1,905 hit points of spotting assist. He earned 62,672 credits from the game, but after repair, ammunition, resupply, and consumables, yeah, and he did use premium rounds as well to get through the side of that Jaegeru. And with his consumables, he actually made a loss of 41,699 credits. But he did get 7 bonds because this was tier 10. 1,797 XP for the game, times 2 for the first victory, 3,594 experience points altogether. Let's have a quick look at the armor profile, and you can see that, yes, the upper plate's actually quite strong. 90mm coming up to 176, or thereabouts. You can see 190 up at the top of the upper plates. The lower plate is only 40mm thick, but it's very, very low down, so fairly difficult to pen. And remember, this is a very small tank overall anyway. He's got 40mm coming up to 75 there. The turret is very strong, as you can see. Front of the turret, 180mm. Well, it's coming out at about 180 or 190. At some points around the edge, you can see it pops up as high as 300, but that's only artificial because of the angling of the turret at that particular point. The actual cupola on the turret is, well, you see from wherever you look at it, it's 26mm at that bit where the ports are, where it only goes down to 50mm effective with the angling, but it's a very narrow thing to hit. So going for the cupola, well, if you've got 100mm of pen, you should be able to get through that. There's another viewport on the other side. I think that's for the gunner, whilst this one is for the commander. We can have a quick look at the modules to see where everyone is afterwards. The sides of the vehicle, 40mm, coming out about the same. Rear of the vehicle, very light, 16mm. That's just to make it go faster. Top of the turret, 26mm there. 12mm at the bustle of the turret there. Arty should be able to pen from above if you can get around to land on it. So you can probably do a fair bit of damage. Let's have a quick look at the live version. Well, against the 100mm round, you're not going to stop a shell, even if you angle to a certain extent. No, these shells are just going to go straight through. So although it's designed to stop 90mm rounds, it's not that capable of doing it, unless of course those shells happen to hit the rounded parts of the turret on the sides, in which case they might bounce off. But if they fired sideways at the turret, yes, you're going to go straight through that, no problem whatsoever. Let's have a quick look at the modules. Okay, well, we can see that there's only 3 crew in this one. You've got the driver up front, and he's got a fuel tank right next to him at the front, rather like the T-54 in one sense, you might say. And there's a deep ammo store next to him as well. That's the deep store. The ready rack is actually in the bustle. And remember, that's where the weak spot is on the armor. So yes, shells can penetrate that. So if you want to get a big bang, go for the bustle, as usual with most tanks. Tank commander on the left-hand side, as I mentioned, he's the one with the cupola. The one with the gun sight is the gunner who's on the other side. And yes, I'm afraid one of them has to act as loader as well. The fuel tank, there is another fuel tank other than the one that acts up front, because fuel can act as an armor if necessary. In fact, British designed some tanks to actually have a fuel tank at the front of the vehicle to act as a kind of armour against heat rounds. There is another ammo's tank at the back, just in front of the main engine, which you can see is basically on, well, I suppose from the front it's on the left-hand side of the tank. From the rear it's on the right-hand side, but you just aim through the sides and you should be able to hit it anyway. Transmission right at the very rear. So yes, if I wanted to hit this tank and pen and do some damage, I guess I would go for the bustle if I could. Other than that, if you fire through the front and you pen the front of the tank, you're either going to hit an ammo rack or a fuel store, but you need to aim on the left-hand side. If you aim on the right side, you're more than likely either going to get the driver or you're going to get the gunner. So you might put the thing out of action, but you won't get a big bang if you hit those guys. So I hope you enjoyed that replay from Jamie. Well done for the first class. Pity that Death Star thought you were a tasty morsel right at the very end of the game. But there again, you had actually provided your teammates with a respite, because they could then move in on that Death Star without actually getting shot at themselves, because the Death Star was in a lengthy reload at the same time. It was a good game. High win 8. If you enjoyed that replay, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.